Hi, I'm Jeff Cohn of Brave Dialogue. Thank you very much for being with us today. I'm delighted to have with me someone that I've known for, I calculated the years and I could not believe how long I've known Brenda High, but it's been a very long time, close to 20 years. And Brenda High is actually the president of Scholarshop Mom, and she is going to be our guest today. And it's a timely subject matter because there are a lot of students and parents that are actually panicking to some degree in terms of getting their students ready for college and getting their money ready for college. And so, Brenda, thank you very much for being with us today.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's just a delight to have you. I could not believe, when I look back at, when you first started doing work with Rich Township High School District 227, how many years ago that was, but it's been a long time, actually.
Yes, yes.
So thank you for being with me. And, it's a very important subject in terms of helping parents and students figure out how to actually go to college and to fund college and to stay in college, which is something that you are a subject matter expert. But before we dig into that, Brenda, would you please just share a little bit about your background in terms of whatever you would like to share, where you're from and how did you actually get into this space in terms of providing this valuable service to society?
Well, I'm going to start off by sharing my story, a personal story, actually how I got into the scholarship business. And that was due to we had a situation in our family where my sister died of breast cancer, and my husband and I became guardians of two of her children. We got them when they were 8 and 3 years old. The older one had a physical and a learning disability. He had cerebral palsy. And then the younger one, we got at 3. Now, I was an educator because I had my teaching degree. So I knew that the first thing we thought of, because we didn't have any kids of our own, was how are we going to pay for their education? That was the first thing that came to our mind. And so all I knew at that time was, well, I know they need to do well in school. So that was our focus. And I could do a whole nother workshop on how I was able to get a handicapped child who was able to get a full ride to the University of Southern California and currently has his PhD. But that's a whole nother story, but how I was able to do that. And so in addition to that, both boys graduated, left school with no debt. And so it was because of that experience that I was able to share that experience, because during that time when the older one was in high school at Rich Central, there weren't a lot of opportunities for scholarships for young people. And so I was that parent who was going into the very involved parent, which is key. I was that parent. I was going into the guidance office trying to find information. And long story short, I ended up finding a bunch of scholarships. And then I ended up sharing that information with other people. Then I was asked to I do have a background in counseling.
Right.
My first love is career counseling. I have a master's in career counseling from the Cal State University, Los Angeles. And recently, I was also certified as a global career development facilitator. So career counseling is my first love. And so I got into the scholarship business kind of by accident, by default, and sharing my information, and then being able to have an interest in career stuff. When we got a new superintendent in, I was actually asked to come in as a consultant to help kids with their scholarship applications, to help with, at that time too, they were developing a STEM program, right, which was very interesting to me because here I am, the career counselor, I get to, help expose kids to STEM. So that's kind of how I got started in this. And I have a blog, scholarshopmom.org. And in that blog, that whole blog came from my experience in working with students and parents in 227 in their after school program, which was a College 101 program. And that's where I started that blog because I didn't have time to talk to people on the phone. And so I just came home and started writing up questions, and that's how that got started. So I thank them for that. And our nonprofit I started about 3 years ago. And so the focus is readiness, because what I found all these years, the scholarships are there. The problem is students haven't done what they need to do to get one.
Okay.
That's the problem. So now we're focusing on readiness, because that's the key thing. Because if you're ready, you know what you need to do, then the scholarships will be there. So our organization is now focused on college readiness, career readiness, and scholarship readiness. It's the whole package because they're all connected.
Beautiful. And so, yeah, so you started with Rich 227, if my memory serves me correctly. I was on the school board then, and so so are you still working with Rich 227?
Not currently. I have done some things in the past. I've done some professional development. I'm not currently directly involved with them. I'm working with a lot of other high schools, community-based organizations, churches. Churches are a good place to do workshops because they have these nice youth groups. And so, yeah, we're and plus I have a national audience. So I'm doing a lot of stuff online also, which is keeping me quite busy.
Good. Well, you know, a lot has changed since you started, you know, with your nephews, and since you got started with Rich 227. What are the key things that high school students should be doing each year of their high school to get ready for college? I mean, I know that you have a model that you are always professing to students. I know, and then I'm gonna ask the same thing because I know students have things that they should be doing and the parents should be doing some things. So let's start with the students.
Okay, I'm going to start up with the high school freshmen.
Okay.
I tell students when they come in as a freshman, you're starting clean. You have a 4.0 GPA when you enter your freshman year. Your job is to keep it. Now, in order to get scholarships, get a lot of scholarships, you really need to have a 3.0 GPA. So I think students need to know going in that they should be striving for that. If they want money, you need to be striving to have a good freshman year.
Okay.
And you need to be involved in something. You got to get involved in extracurricular activity. And you need to be strategic about the activity because it should be activities that relate to your interest.
Okay.
And this is going to help you going down the line because when you start applying for college, they're going to be looking at asking for your interest and looking for demonstration of that interest. So I always tell students, try to find those activities that relate to your interest or your major. It's important to volunteer. Got to volunteer. Just have to. Parents should have, and the other thing that should happen this year is parents really, if they want money, then they should be having the conversation about we have a college fund or we don't have a college fund. And since we don't have a college fund or we don't have enough money, then we're expecting you to do your part academically so that you can position yourself to be able to have scholarship opportunities. That's a very important conversation for people to have early, because otherwise you're going to end up just sort of floating around trying to figure out how you're going to do stuff, and they don't know what their expectation is. And so that's a very important conversation. And the freshman year is just very important. So they want to establish that 3.0.
Okay.
They can do that. That's very, very important. They want to get involved in activities and want to volunteer because so many colleges now are test optional. And so if colleges are test optional, what are they going to look at? They're going to look at, oh, did they volunteer? Do they have leadership skills? So these things can be dealt with and started early. And kids need to know that that's what the expectation is if you're looking for money.
Excellent. Good. So that takes care of the students. I know that you.
Well, that's actually the freshmen. So let me continue with the sophomores.
Okay, good. Okay.
Because with the sophomores, now you're a sophomore. Hopefully by this time you've had some career exploration or career interest inventory, so you can start figuring out, what your interests are. But the 3.0 still is valid. But also now this is the year that students prep for the PSAT. And so, and doing the PSAT, this is where students who score well can automatically receive merit-based scholarships. And this is where colleges can start actually recruiting students if they do well on this particular scholarship program. And they have one specifically for minority students. And so keeping that 3.0 is still vital, still getting involved in your activities, still volunteering, because colleges are looking to accept you. Colleges accept you for your freshman, sophomore, junior year of work. Those are 3 critical years. Exactly. And so you want to have, those are the years you get accepted. Okay. And so this is very important that students understand this, that they continue to do things along the way. So the volunteering, the same thing as freshmen, keep that 3.0, and make sure you do well on the PSAT.
Very nice.
For juniors, now we've done the PSAT. Now it comes, they're looking at ACT or SAT. And so this is like another opportunity for you to do well, because so many colleges give money based on those scores. Mm-hmm. Full tuition you can get based on those scores with a good GPA. And so if you do well on those tests, you're positioning yourself to get additional scholarship opportunities. And for juniors, this is their last year to really impress, college people, because you want to have a good junior year. And so for them, it's the testing, the prep classes that they may have to take. And this is an opportunity for them to do their best. Now, right now, our current juniors are really going to be rising seniors. So as a rising senior, your summer is going to be very important. This is the time for you to be visiting colleges if you haven't, particularly the ones that are out of state. For those students who are in band or in sports, we have a lot of busy students. This is an opportunity for you to start thinking about, doing stuff that you can do over the summer that you don't have to do later. For instance, you can write your personal statement. The Common App comes out in August. Okay. You can have that statement written. You can have your colleges selected. You don't need to be waiting to the last minute to find out where you're going to go. You can kind of do all that research, and that you will also hopefully clarify your career goals and know what you want to do, because one of the essays that scholarship people and admissions people are going to be asking or looking for is that personal statement, which is, what do you want to do? Why do you want to do it? Why do you want to do it? Why are you passionate about this particular thing? Mm-hmm. And believe it or not, so many kids get stuck on that essay because they have not taken the opportunity to even clarify who they are or what they want to do, because they haven't had that conversation. Right. And this could be a stumbling block for them when it comes time to writing that essay. Because if you never had, been exposed to careers or even had the opportunity to talk to somebody about what it is you want to do, it can be really hard to try to figure that out on your own. Exactly. So that's basically but as far as those 3 years, they're critically important. Keep your grades up, be involved, and make sure that you're communicating with your parents about things that may be an issue for you. Because if you're having a problem with, physics comes up all the time, physics or math, whatever you weaken, then you want to make sure that you get the tutoring that you need and that you be able to do well on those standardized tests. Excellent. So let's, in summary, let's talk about the same thing that parents should be doing. Because parents have a critical role in this as well. And the first conversation that they have is, do we have that college fund or not? And so what else should the parents be doing in addition to monitoring their student during their freshman, sophomore, and junior year in terms of activity? Well, they should be making sure that their student, like I said, if they're having a weakness, that they're making sure that they have access to a tutor, somebody to help them, overcome any obstacles they're having. Okay. Parents at the high school level should be involved in their high school. I know a lot of students and parents feel that, you did that in elementary school, you don't need to do that in now. But I find that you really need to be involved in high school activities and what's going on in your child's high school, because there's so much. And if you find an opportunity to volunteer, then you should do that. Students are going to need help from their parents with their time management, particularly when it comes to activities. Now, I said that students need to be involved in activities. The problem is some students get involved in too many activities, and you don't need to do a lot. Having one or two things that relate to your interests over a long period of time is just as impactful as a whole bunch of stuff. Nice. So you don't need to be doing a whole bunch of stuff, and all these things, because I find that the busy student who's busy, they're the ones that miss out on scholarship opportunities because they're too busy. And I actually have a blog on that topic. Are you too busy to apply for scholarships? So parents need to help with them with their time management and helping them with that decision. But also they need to help them in clarifying their career interest. Having that conversation about what it is you think you want to do. And parents, they've raised you, so they know what your skill set is or what your interests are. One of the questions I always ask students is, parents is, what does your child do in their free time? Because what they do in their free time will tell you what they're interested in. And because sometimes parents can have this idea that because I'm an engineer, then you're going to be an engineer. And you can't assume that that's going to work out that way. So you really
Exactly.
have to be open to what their skills and talents are and helping them clarify their interests and having that open communication. I think it's really important. Sometimes kids, when they get to be 17 or even 18, they feel like they don't have to listen to their parents. And I have talked to a lot of parents who have a hard time talking to their young people at this stage because they think they know it all.
Mhm.
And so it can be hard, but they need to try to keep those lines of communication open, particularly when they start applying, when they're getting emails. They need to share that stuff with their parents, and they need to just be involved that way to help support them. They don't want to be overbearing, but you still want to know that you're concerned and interested in helping them fulfill their goals in that role. But their involvement piece is still important at the high school level.
Beautiful. So that's the 3 years, 4 years, getting ready, entering high school, getting ready. I know you have a middle school conversation. We'll come back to that one in another segment. But parents do have a role, and everybody has a role. So now here we are, getting ready to enter into May. Students have already, many of them have been accepted into the colleges that they want to go to, are trying to make the final decision. But there are many people that I've seen, they're also panicking right now because they have not done what you have said. And I would say that most people have not done all the things that you've just articulated. So what should the seniors be doing right now to maximize the amount of money that they can get in going to the schools that they've been selected?
Well, the first thing is, if they're getting money, they need to know how they're going to keep their money, okay, and get more money. And I tell people all the time, a lot of students in their admission letters, if they've done well academically, were given merit-based scholarships off the top, which have nothing to do with income. That's what the student brought to the table based on their standardized test scores, based on their GPA, and all the other things that I mentioned. So though you get rewarded for that. But I also want people to know that just because you get a scholarship doesn't mean you can still afford to go to the school.
Okay.
And so that's the part that really has to be looked at, because right now we have people getting their award letters. And the issue I have with award letters is I've looked at hundreds of award letters. 90% of them have errors in them. But how is it that you, a student, or you, a parent, know what should be in an award letter? And that's the problem, because you don't know. Just because somebody gives you something on a piece of paper that looks official doesn't mean it's correct. And so that's the problem that we have with that, and they're really difficult to understand.
Sure.
And so I try to do workshops that talk about what to do before the FAFSA, after and before. But with those financial aid award letters, it's important that you don't assume anything. And if you have questions, go and contact the financial aid office and talk to them, because you need to make sure, as far as the FAFSA, and this is a problem, that when you do the FAFSA, most people just do it and then they think they're done.
Right.
But that's not correct. You need to follow up. First of all, you need to know if you're getting the Pell Grant. A lot of people don't know that. And that information you can find the day after you submit the FAFSA. A lot of people don't know what their expected family contribution is.
Okay.
Because the day you do the FAFSA is the day that you're going to be able to determine that whether or not you can afford the school. But a lot of people don't know that, and they just sort of let that sit, and then they get the big surprise when they get the award letter. Now they're like, oh, we can't afford this school, but that can be figured out a lot earlier.
Okay.
And the other thing I want to know is that seniors and parents need to check their student aid reports to see if it's been selected for verification.
What kind of report?
The student aid report, which is actually a copy of the FAFSA. People need to be looking at that to determine if there are any corrections that they need to make, but also to see if they have been selected for verification, which is not a bad thing. It's just that certain applications are selected for review and you have to submit information. But the thing that people don't know is you could be getting a $30,000 scholarship. And if you have been selected for verification and you have not submitted the work that they want, the paperwork that's needed for verification, you will not be awarded that money. Oh. And that has caught a lot of people off guard, that one thing, not knowing that. Oh. So people need to be parents need to be looking at that paperwork, making sure, asking questions, calling the financial aid office. And if any students out there right now have not received an award letter, where we are, April, mid-April, something is wrong. That
Okay.
means you need to call them and find out where is the award letter and to follow up, because something's probably missing. So that's very important. And they also need to know that once they are giving money, that the federal government and scholarship programs, if you're getting merit-based scholarships, have a GPA requirement. You know, it's like, okay, we expect you to maintain a 2.0 or 2.5, whatever it is. For the federal government, I think they want basically a 2.0 GPA. If your GPA drops below that, then you're in jeopardy of losing that Pell Grant money.
Okay.
And so they need to know that, so they don't, you know, put themselves in position.
Sure. And
so once again, the incoming freshmen coming in again should strive to be getting the 3.0 in their freshman year. Same thing as high school. Get involved in activities, you know, develop your leadership skills, volunteer, because the 3.0 is what's going to get you that internship when you get to your junior year. Exactly. So it's very important that you see how, and also the 3.0 is going to open up more scholarship dollars for you too. Okay. Going forward.
So we have a few minutes. I want to talk about, you've mentioned FAFSA, and so parents should understand that. So we're not going to spend any time really talking about that. That's just elementary in this day and age for parents and students to go through that process. I know this is very intimidating to parents. So how can you coach parents? How does your business, your not-for-profit, coach parents and students to go through this process? How can they reach you?
Well, my blog is scholarshopmom.org. I'm also on all social media. I'm on Facebook, and that's where the parents are. Okay. So there's a lot of information, scholarships on Facebook, and the kids are on Instagram. And I'm just going to tell you that Instagram is a gold mine for scholarships for students. There's no reason why any student should not be able to find a scholarship on Instagram, because it's just
really.
Yes, that's where they are. They can go research hairstyles and all this other stuff, but the scholarships are there also. And so it's very, I mean, it's to the point where I don't feel I need to even do scholarship databases anymore. You know, I can just do into referring people to resources where they can find them. But Instagram is just loaded with tons of scholarships opportunities for people. Okay. And so that's very important that they really look for them. It's very easy to look. You know, when I was back in the day, you know, I had to go in the guidance office and go do all that. We don't have to do that anymore.
Oh my goodness, that is like, I mean, I'm amazed to hear that actually, that's where you can go and actually find, so you don't have to go Google them. And
well, Google's great too, but there's all kind of people like there's a whole bunch of Scholarship Mom people on Instagram doing the same thing I'm doing. Okay. And I'm doing workshops. I do my one that I'm doing now currently is The Secret to Finding Scholarships, you know, which talks about the whole readiness. I also do FAFSA workshops. And I just want to say something about the FAFSA. Okay. Because it's very important. And it's that the FAFSA will not be coming out. This is breaking news. The FAFSA will not be coming out until mid-December of this year.
What do you mean by coming out? What does that mean?
In other words, it's a new FAFSA. It's a new FAFSA coming out. That's why it's delayed. Normally it comes out, you can apply for it in October. Yeah. But now it will not be available for application until December because they're still working on it. It's going to be a shorter form. It's going to be, they're no longer using the standard formula to determine expected family contribution, which means that it's going to allow more middle income families to be eligible for the Pell Grant. Okay? Good. That's really good because that's the group that's really suffering. I know. The middle income families.
Right. Tell me about it.
And so they're going to have to really, you know, I will have information on my website over the summer. The government, the FAFSA site was going to be having websites on it. The Illinois Student Assistance Commission. People are really going to need to educate themselves prior to December about this new FAFSA.
Okay, very good.
So I'm putting that out there that people really need to educate themselves, and they can't be just waiting till the school district does it, because that may be too late in terms of the timing of it, because it may be off, but they need to be educating themselves. And the other thing I want to mention that's very important too is I get a lot of phone calls from college juniors and seniors who are having to leave college because they ran out of money or they have a balance.
Right.
If you have a balance on your thing, you can't register for classes. Okay. You have to go, you have to pay the bill. And so kids call me because they think, oh, she can help me with a scholarship. But 90% of the time when I find out what the problem is, it's something that happened with the FAFSA. And so they hijack your transcript. And I have had kids, it really breaks my heart. I have kids call me and say, I need $500. I don't have $500. Can you help me with $500 or $1,000? And these are kids with good GPAs. They're not slip offs. They got 3.0 or higher, and they're going through this. This is the dark side of college admissions that people need to be aware of.
I know.
And that they also need to know is that if your income changes anytime your child is in school, you can appeal for more aid.
Sure. A
lot of people don't know that they can get more aid based on that.
So Brenda, I mean, you are a wealth of knowledge. That's why I have you on. Wealth of information. We have 1 minute left. I need for you to show people how to contact you, because they need to contact you and engage with you to ensure that they are working on the best behalf of their students. And so I've always believed in what you do. And so that's why I want to have you on now. And I'm going to, really, air this show so parents can have the benefit of seeing it for a month. And so this is how people can contact you, right? Yes, I'm on Instagram, Facebook. It's all Scholarshop Mom, and Twitter. My blog is scholarshopmom.org, and my email is scholarshopmom@gmail.com. And I would advise people to really pay attention to at least my social media, because I will be giving you the latest information with all the changes that are going to be coming. And I will be doing several workshops over the summer on the area of readiness and scholarship searches. Thank you, Brenda. It's always not enough time for us to talk. You have just a lot of information in this area. I appreciate you coming on today and sharing your expertise in this area. I'd like to set up another time for us to talk about what middle school parents should be doing. But thank you very much for being with us today. Thank you. I am Jeff Cohn of Brave Dialogue. Thank you very much for being with us today. Please follow what Brenda has recommended so that your students can be as successful as they can be. Thank you. I'm Jeff Cohn of Brave Dialogue. Thank you so much.